Okay, so sorry about all the technical difficulties. This has been okay. But anyways, I'm really grateful that you're willing to do this with me. I just want to say thank you. Um, trying to kick this off and everything. So, with that being said, this is a space where we talk about mysteries, visions, and then the X, which is the variable that a lot of people don't know about. So, you're a part of that. I wanted to start off by saying, can you explain to the people what Bakor is?
Well, I would say in my time, boko, it has a meaning. Well, from my era, when people said the word boko to the common person in Haitian culture, that meant you are a sorcerer. That's what it meant in my time. Now, in my area specifically, because one thing that you'll find in Haitian culture is that depending on a location you are from, and I speak in past tense and I'll explain to you afterwards. In the era that I'm from, depending on the location that you're from, the interpretation may vary to different people. Now, to us, it was exactly that. It wasn't, oh, a voodoo priest. We clearly made a distinction between a voodoo priest, which is a wuga, and a boko. So, in my time, in my era, well, I would say in my time, my era, I'm still young, but I have to say voodoo has went through various changes throughout the decades. And the way certain people see things, it may change with time and depending on a location, right? Now, the reason why I said past tense was because Haiti is going through a change now. It has been going through a change for the past decade. And this change affects everything, even voodoo. So the way people operate, they don't do things the same. Before, people would go to Haiti, take flights to Haiti, and they go handle their business. Today, they're not able to do that. So they've adapted new ways about going about things. Instead of flying to Haiti, now they have to work from where they're at. So
Mm.
different things, change with the temp, the era, the time. Mhm.
Mm-hmm. So, with the temperature of how things are now, what's one of the biggest misconceptions that people have from Bakor to what would the opposite of that be? A Manbo, right?
No, as I said before, the Boko in my era was considered a sorcerer. Now, some people in other locations they say that a Wuga is the same thing as a Boko. That I would say universally people will agree on that. But in some areas, some people may say that. But that's a very small percent because the majority, overwhelmingly, when you say to a Haitian family, Boko, they're going to automatically associate that with witchcraft and sorcery.
Okay. Okay. So I know we were talking the other day. We've had some really good conversations about stories over the years and some of the stuff that you've seen. If you could pick off of the top of your head one of your favorite experiences with a client, what comes to your mind first?
And I sigh because there's so much, and I'm just trying to look for, and I'm looking through my mind or going through my mind of a case that I think that is suitable for online.
Yeah.
Um, mm, I'm just trying to go through my mind and pick one again that's suitable for online because there's a lot of graphic content. ah, mm, mm, mm. When I think about it, I'm trying to get one that's not graphic. Um, mm, I mean, the most peaceful one that I can give you is, I mean, if we want to talk about love magic, if we want to be if we want to be suitable for the internet, I would just say that I had a situation where this guy from the country over, Dominican Republic, came to me, and he wanted me to do some work for him to bring back this woman that he loved, She, for some apparent reason, they lost contact, and eventually, she ended up reaching out to him. They ended up reconnecting. You know, I mean, that's that. That's what the way I can put it. But of course, this was a process of him communicating with the female, talking with her, getting an understanding with her, and going through the I guess quote unquote the rites of passage, of finding a way to be at peace with her, getting to know her better, much better, rather than jumping into bed, because this guy would complain about Leonard. She's not allowing me to have sex with her. Leonard, oh my God, but it was a process. I had to tell him, listen, you got this person, they fell out with you, so now's the time of reconnecting, and this has to be a mental connection before it can get to a physical connection. So it's like in a process of guiding the person. Yes, there's ritual that has to be done, but there has to be proper guidance given, and that's the
Mm.
instruction.
Mm. And do you think in the process of like, do you also vet your clients? If you have somebody that's bringing work to you that you're like, it doesn't make sense due to the fact that you might not be connected to the other party, will you turn down work?
Repeat that question again.
So if you have a client, for example, that comes to you off of the story that you just gave, and let's just say maybe they didn't talk to the other party that they're romantically interested in, maybe it's been years. Are you still willing to work with that client?
Well, if you said the keyword years, that right there is a no-no. That
Okay.
right there is like, for me, I prefer to call it an interrogation. Some people call this a consultation. Now, for me, I like to defer how I do things. A consultation to me is just as what it means. When you go to a consultant, you're consulting with this individual because you need some advice, you need some guidance, right? So for me, this guidance is me sitting down asking you questions. Yes, readings are okay, but human beings are not perfect. They are not an AI machine that can give you 100% accurate information. Sometimes we can drift off, lose our concentration in a reading, and we give something that's a little off.
Right.
So, for me, my solution to that is listening to the case. I want to know what the situation is before I do anything for you. Now if it doesn't make any sense to me, I'm going to write you off and say I can't help you. But you said years. Somebody tell me that they're trying to bring someone back from years and they had no communication. Common sense tells me that's not going to work. I'm going to have to decline and tell that person I can't help you.
Do you think you get a lot of clients that actually bring ridiculous like
I write them
things to
off
you?
immediately. As soon as it
Okay.
sounds foolish, I just write it off. I tend to listen to cases that are serious, and if I see that there's a means of being able to help them, then I will help them. But most of the time, I write people off completely.
Okay. So is there a place to distinguish um soft work versus more intense work with being into boko? Is that how you say it? I want to make sure I'm pronouncing
Yes,
everything
you
properly.
said it correctly in English. For me, I look at it like this. I don't do anything light. When most people come to me, they know don't come with the nonsense or the petty stuff because I don't handle that. And
Right.
the type of energy I deal with, I don't deal with anything light. So people usually come to me as their last alternative, or they
Mm-hmm.
come to me as someone that they can't find. Well, I'll play this. When all else fails and they go from spiritualist to spiritualist, and the spiritualists turn them down, they usually end up coming my way.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So do you think it's important also to for people to know that in this particular work there are, would you say, more repercussions? Would you call it that, or how would you define that area?
The repercussions, when you say repercussions, that means what you get in return. The
Correct.
repercussions does not exist in a negative if you follow instructions. If I tell you to do XYZ, I need you to do XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you choose to do otherwise, what you get is what you will receive.
So, can you give another
Well, what you
ex-
should receive, or what you're destined to
hmm,
receive. Go
okay.
ahead.
So, can you give another example of a story where somebody followed your instructions and then one where somebody didn't? Could you kind of highlight those areas?
I remember, well, this person may see this video because I remember I did work for her years ago and she still follows me to this day.
Hmm.
I remember I told her specific instructions to put such and such item in a specific location. Well, she chose to go online and read certain things online. And she figured, well, I'm going to apply what I read online with what you told me to do. She goes the same day, well, the same day she goes to the gym, she's lifting weights, the weight falls on her foot and breaks it, right? Now, the same person, well, excuse me, not the same person, the same situation I gave to another, or the same condition I gave to another client, and it worked out well for them. They had got a positive response. So the
Hmm.
thing is, instructions are very important.
Hmm. Okay, this is so interesting. It's such an honor to sit with you, by the way. We've had our own conversations, and I just have a really high regard for you and for your presence. And this is going to be so interesting for people who want to hear certain things. I know you do a lot of content on YouTube, but this is a chance for them to be more personable and to understand things that maybe they wouldn't have, from other spaces. What do you think?
Yeah, of course, definitely.
So, some other questions I have for you, I guess, in terms of truth and perception, what are some of the things that people ask you, or how can you define, like, without giving away information, obviously, the secret society? Like, when you get initiated, for example, into this. Do you have other peers that you can go to that are in the same area as you that you can talk about things that you can't talk to with the public? Do you have that type of
Well, I'm gonna tell you
space?
this.
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
gonna be honest with you. I can
Hmm.
give two shits about initiation.
Mm,
Initiation is something I'm completely, I'd say I don't care much about,
mm,
because for me, the way I got voodoo was through my family. It
right,
wasn't no, oh, Wooga so and so. It was Uncle so and so. It
right,
was, this person so and so. It wasn't a stranger. So when
right,
they gave me the lessons, it was from love. It was from
right,
family.
right.
That's how I got it. I didn't go pay somebody, for whatever, one or two little lessons and this and that on this subject here. Because
Yeah,
I came up in a family that was with that, versus a lot of people who paid to, strangers to bring them into certain things. So for
right,
me, I don't care much for initiation. But what I will say is this, is that everybody in Haitian culture has their people they deal with, right? And who they deal with, how they interact with them, that all depends on, again, who they're dealing with.
right. Yeah. I think it's really interesting when you look at the collective of different spiritual practices now, how watered down some of it is from what you mentioned, where people are just initiating themselves off of something that they felt or going towards other people that can do it for them. I think there's something to be said for having a rite of passage in your family versus something in this more human parallel that wasn't really given to you, right?
Indeed. Again, for me, I look at it as like this. When you're dealing with a stranger, you're never going, when you're dealing with a stranger, likelihood it's going to be business. It's not like you're going to sit down with Uncle so and so or Auntie so and so and ask all the questions, unlimited amount of questions that you want answers to.
Right.
You're not going to get that, because when you're dealing with these people who have these societies or these religious houses, excuse me, they're not going to give you information for you to be independent, because they
Okay.
need you to constantly come back to them so they can make money off of you.
So would you say from your vantage point, people who have the family lineage rite of passage are better off staying within that rather than going to houses. Is that what you're saying?
And most of the time, that's how it was done. For
Okay.
me, I speak in past tense because this is not, early 2000s. This is not the 90s, and this is definitely not the 80s. So now people are doing things completely different. I
Yeah.
just stuck with what I was told, what I was
Um,
showed. I don't venture out into different voodoo ceremonies. To be honest, I don't deal with people in the voodoo community, period. You know what I'm saying? That's how my family's always been. They don't deal with outsiders like that. And if we're gonna
yeah.
deal with an outsider, they have to listen to what we tell them to do.
Right. And I think it keeps it more sacred. It keeps everything about it just protected, really. Yeah. So another question I have that I wrote down, because I had to take notes. I'm like, I have to come to him proper because this is intense, and a lot of people um think that this is like lighthearted, and it's not, because we're living in a different time right now where this is some people's medicine. Like, some people come to you and you're their lifeline, right?
And I would say that if you want to put it that way, so we can look at it like that.
So have you ever had anybody come to you for health issues that you've been able to?
I don't touch on that.
You don't touch on that.
No.
Okay. Okay. What about, let's see here. Has there ever been a time in your work where you've surprised yourself, where maybe something has come up
Of course,
and
I talk
Mhm,
about that all the time,
mhm,
and this is one
mhm.
thing that led me to be like, no one knows, no one has complete control over what they do. You
Right.
know, that's why in the scripture, for those who follow, Bible, there's a passage in there that says, I think the example was when Jesus healed someone and the person was healed, he said, your faith made you well. So it's almost like when you're doing spiritual work, the lesson in that is we just put spirit in motion. What the
Right.
outcome is beyond our control. If
Mhm,
what happens is what happens. So
mhm,
at the end of the
mhm.
day, you may say, man, this is not going to work. And you turn around, oh shit, the person called you up. Like, oh my God, Leonard, it worked. Because I've had situations where a person was desperate. And I told, man, I can't help you. They begged me, please, please, please. All right, I'll do it, whatever. But I told you,
Right.
this is not going to work. And then I put it in motion. Oh my God, Leonard, it worked. Oh my God, oh my God. Yeah. So
Mhm, mhm,
sometimes it's one of those scenarios where this shit is beyond our control. We can set things
mhm.
in motion, but it's beyond our control.
Okay, okay. That's really good. I like that. So, let's see. Let's go to the next thought space that I'm having right now. Would you say, out of all your services, from what I've studied in your business, the In Tranquil Spirit is the most popular service that you offer, right? Mm-hmm.
I mean, back in the day, I would loosely throw that out there. But nowadays, I need to sit back and talk with a person to see where their head is at. And if their
Mm-hmm.
situation could permit such energy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So right now, with where your business is at, is that the one that you still offer the most, or is it a mixture of different
I
things?
would say it's a mixture of different things because every situation doesn't require that. So,
Mm-hmm.
they can go from binding spells, they can go from various things. Candles, there's various things that a person can do. That
Mm-hmm.
ultimately depends on the situation.
Okay. So if you were to give advice to somebody who might not have knowing of their lineage, but wants to kind of come into that, what would you tell them without being disrespectful to their background? Or what would be a piece of advice that you would say? Because, like, for me, for example, my background, I'm Native American and my mom is white. And I've had to do a lot of digging through my father's side to figure out what these practices would look like, because there's also a lot of erasure through this community as well, right? And I know for me, having gifts I've shared with you, I don't practice anything other than just having a knowingness or being able to read people without cards, right? That phenomenon is still very misunderstood and not something that people really want to talk about. It's still considered taboo. So, what would you tell to people that just kind of want to start getting into something? How would they be able to touch on those things for themselves and make it sincere?
Well, I would definitely say, first and foremost, before you get into anything, learn how to meditate.
Mm.
Learn how to control your thinking,
Hmm.
because that's the first stage of becoming a spiritual person. When
Don't they
doing
have a
readings,
saying like the mind is all, right? And it's matter, something like that. Matter
I would
is
say
all, and mind.
that's a little trans. Well, that's a little. I say that's a little abstract, but so we don't confuse people.
Yeah.
In the process of in the process of reading someone,
Mm-hmm.
reading cards, to be a clairvoyant, clairaudience, you got to have control over your mind,
Mm-hmm.
control over your thoughts. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, when you're able to tune into things spiritually, no one can lie to you. And that's why I say
Right.
it's crucial and very important. That's the first thing you want to do, is learn how to meditate, learn how to control your mind, your thoughts. Because in order to read, you have to be able to control your thoughts. You have to be able to suspend your thoughts so that intuition can come through and show you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I like that. It's not watered down the way you said it. You know, an answer from anybody else would have been like, oh, well, go get some rose quartz or some stupid shit like that. You and I both know that's not, you're right, it does. It starts with your mind, it starts with your subconscious, it starts with being able to figure out um where your gifts come from because it can be different for everybody. Like for me, I see things in symbols. My clairvoyance, it works with music, it works with, and it's very subliminal. It's almost subdued if you don't pay attention to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it could be something that comes up in the front of my mind. Like I've been seeing particular billboards with certain symbols, and it'll be over and over and over again throughout my day. And it just feels like you're piercing the veil, right? But to the average person, they might just overlook it and say, oh, that meant nothing, you know?
And that's one of those things that I always talk about. Some people are spiritually blind. See, some things, when the scripture says, let the dead bury the dead, is making reference to people that are spiritually dead. Things can
Mm,
happen right in front of their eyes and they don't even see it. It's almost
right.
like they don't even, they don't even get it. So like you said, some people will bypass certain things when the spirit's trying to get in contact with them.
Yes. So do you believe that some people have incarnated here and don't have souls?
I mean, that's a little that's I've heard that theory years ago, and I would say that's a theory. Well, that's someone's theory. In practicality, everything has energy. You
Mm,
know, everything has energy.
mm-hmm,
And if we're gonna say that energy is a soul, so be it. But everything has energy. To say something
mm,
doesn't have a soul, or I mean, if it's consciousness, I mean, that's like we're dealing with AI today.
mm-hmm,
AI, is it a sentient being, or is it just a machine?
right.
That's the thing. I mean, everything has energy, but
Mm-hmm,
I guess maybe the thing is it sentient? Can it think for itself? You know?
mm-hmm.
But talking about energy, that's a whole nother story. I don't want to get too caught up in that AI stuff, but I would say, you know, I've heard of people make that theory. Some people are soulless. Bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe it.
Well, like, okay, for me, I'll give you an example. Sometimes I feel like I'm talking to people that don't have a pulse for a lot of things. Like you get no emotional response at all. It's just completely flat. And it'll be people who are kind, for example. This person could be very generous, but they can speak nothing of maybe what you and I are even talking about right now. Not that those things matter because not everybody needs to dive into these type of things, but
I would say
Mhm,
that's what we
mhm,
going back to what we said. Some
mhm,
people are spiritually dead. You know, it's
Mm.
almost like, yeah, you're here, but you're
Mm-hmm.
just moving with the stream. You're just a fish that's dead, that's deceased, and you're just moving along with the stream.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Ignorant to anything, anything transcendental. You're just
Mm-hmm.
going with the flow.
Autopilot. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are not able to break out of that and be like, hey, what the fuck is going on? Right.
Right.
Some
Right.
people live within the movie. Right. They
Right.
never ever take off the character that they're playing and,
Right.
look from the outside.
They live within the confines of that. Yes, that's so interesting. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I guess from this particular space, do you feel like how do you handle those type of engagements with people? Like, because for me, I'm gonna be very honest with you. I think I become a little bit rude and arrogant. Like I get frustrated and I try to keep myself away from engagements like that because it makes me feel dead. It makes me feel like I can't operate properly, even in a normal back and forth with somebody. Like small talk is very difficult for me, you know?
I would say for me in life, I don't talk to much people.
Mm-hmm.
I would to say I'm a social person on social media, yes. But when
Mm-hmm.
it comes down to me in the mundane world, I'm in and out. I'm not here to have conversations unless you say something meaningful, then I'll continue with you. But the same
Mm-hmm.
to say I'm going to give you an explanation, no, it's not the time and place. You can book a consultation and speak with me. But other than
Mm-hmm.
that, no. Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel that. I was surprised that you were willing to do it with me because I'm really just starting up my podcast. But of course, you're like my up north family. So I'm grateful that you were willing to take me on in this space and just kind of dive into some of these thought patterns because I think people need it right now. There's a lot that's going on right now, more than ever, and you can feel it, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah. So now, would you say that some people have come to you and they're looking for work and they're actually scared? Like,
Of
they
course, it
they
happens all the
want it,
time.
yeah, but they're just so fearful of what you're gonna do.
Yeah, that happens all the time, and that's a good thing
Mm,
because you don't come to fuck around over here.
right.
There's a lot of people you can go to, but and you heard what I'm capable of, or what can potentially happen. So, if anything, people come with more respect when they know that this is not a place to play games.
Hmm. Do you think that the ancestors choose certain people before reincarnate into this experience? Like you, for example, because maybe there's some people in your family who don't practice, you know what I mean, where the gift hasn't been bestowed upon them.
I would say this. So that's a very transcendental conversation that even the finite mind cannot grasp in totality. But I would say this: everything fell into place for me.
Mm,
And yes, there has been certain things that I would say that is also transcendental that definitely showed me and the family that I was next up.
I love that. That's
Mhm.
special, so let's see here. How does this alter the way that you think and feel? Like, do you separate your work from yourself, or like, is this just you all the time? You can't help it. Because, like, for me and what I do, I can't separate the two. Like, I know how to have fun, I know how to be a quote unquote human, right? But maybe only for a second. And then I'm right back to all of this. It's very hard for me to separate, the gifts and
For
everything.
me, I look at like this is my life. You know, uh, Even when it comes to the dating realm for me, people know
Hmm.
what I'm about.
Hmm.
And most of the time, if I'm going to deal with somebody, they already are into the lifestyle. So it's
Mm,
never a shock to anyone that I come across. Again,
mhm,
I don't really interact with normal people or people out
mhm,
in the world. Now, if they see me in public and they recognize me, then we can communicate, we can converse. But most of the people are aware of what I'm into. Hmm.
mhm. Interesting. Have you
So,
ever,
so as I
sorry to
was gonna,
interrupt you.
so as I was going to say, what I was going to say was, this is
Mhm.
my life, and if you're
Mm,
gonna, if you're gonna try to come around here, you got to be down with the program. And that's my
okay.
closing thought for that one.
Okay. Now, has anybody come to you with like wanting to work on pets, for example, or like things to do with children? How do you handle stuff like that?
I
Or,
stay away from that
okay,
across the board.
okay.
I keep my stuff mainly with adults.
Adults. Okay. Okay. So like if somebody were to have a child that is having, I don't know, afflictions, health afflictions, that wouldn't be
That's not my
something.
specialty.
Okay. If somebody were to come to you, would you send them to a regular mambo or
I would
like,
tell them that I don't recommend people.
okay. Okay. Interesting. I think that's important for people to know too. And I actually respect you a lot for that because oftentimes we run into people who do services, right? And if there's something they can't do, they have the next person and the next person and the next person. And so
And
that's
that's
not
how you run into a lot of complications and problems. I don't
right,
trust other spiritualists. That's why
right.
you rarely ever see me, buddy buddy with people. I don't trust the next
Mm,
person. I don't care how spiritual they are. When money gets involved, you know what you know where you are. You don't
mm-hmm,
know where the next person at when it comes to
mm-hmm,
money. And a lot of people I deal with are very high profile. So my
mm,
thing is, I can't trust the next individual because that can ruin my interaction with these individuals.
right, right. I like that you say that. So even for yourself, like if you're to do work for yourself, you do it for yourself. You don't allow other people to do it for you.
Pretty much.
I like that. I think more people need to realize that
If
the
it's for myself,
mm-hmm,
personally, if
mm-hmm,
I'm going to do a bath or something like that, that's personal for myself.
right.
But not to say that I don't have other people that work for me that I've trained. There's people that
Mm,
I've trained that's been, friends of the family. They've been they've been associated with for decades.
mm-hmm,
That's still here. I got people that's under me that I've known since from my childhood. You know,
mm,
and I still keep in contact with those individuals today. But
mm-hmm.
again, there's people under me that I've trained, and that's another situation. But I would say this: they've gotten good instruction, and I can trust them with just about my life.
Mm-hmm,
Mhm.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so with the corruption that can exist inside of spiritual work, have you ever been like spiritually stumped where maybe you've seen something and you're like, I've just never seen this before, you know? Or do you pretty much have the remedy for most things, even if it surprises you, you can figure out what it is?
I don't know what you mean. I'm trying to understand.
So, okay, let me give you a better example. Let's say you're doing work for somebody and something unexplained or something that was deviating from what was supposed to happen happens, right? And maybe it stumps you and it's like, oh, I've never seen this shit before, you know? Is there a remedy for everything, or do you sometimes run into problems in some of your work and it's like, okay, this is surprising. I've just never seen this
I
before.
would say it's not that complicated
Hmm.
because we're dealing. For me, I have my work cut out for me. And I
Hmm.
lay it down like this. This is a type of work that I'm looking to do.
Hmm.
Love magic and black magic.
Hmm.
And because I've been doing this for so long,
Hmm.
I pretty much have an idea of how things will play out.
Okay.
Right? And that's not even anything spiritual. It's by looking at the same situation for decades, over and over, the same outcome, the same situation, and eventually you get this thing in your mind where you're like, okay, so you met this person this time. Okay, that doesn't sound right. I can't help you. Okay, next. Okay, oh, you met this. Okay, that's what happened. Okay, all right. So you kind of have this stuff laid out because you've heard it like tons of times,
Hmm.
many times. So yeah.
Hopefully that was a good question. Just crossed my
So
mind.
to get to what you were saying,
Hmm.
you say run across a situation where you're stumped, like, oh my God, no. That happens when you lack experience.
Okay,
When
okay.
you lack experience, you may run into that situation where you're like, damn. But when you got experience, you've been through a lot of hard situations, so you know how to deal with that. And then on top of that, you start to marginalize your dealings. So you know
Mm,
from experience, I'm not gonna take on this case. I'm not gonna take on that case. I'm gonna keep this specifically this line of work and these kind of cases.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So that way you don't run into those roadblocks. You deal with cases that you're familiar with.
Okay, okay. Interesting. So how do you feel about the term like witch? How do you look at that?
I mean, the term witch, I would say the term witch, mm, mm, mm. I come from a different culture, and mm, and I come from a very different background. But I'd say a witch is not a priestess. It's like a sorcerer is not a priest.
Mm,
Mhm.
mm. Okay. Can you kind of define those different areas? I just want to hear it from your perspective.
A sorcerer, to me, is not a priest, part of a religion or a part of a religious organization. A priestess, same thing. She's part of a religious organization.
Mm-hmm,
A
mm-hmm.
witch is usually independent, not part of anything.
I agree.
So when you say boko in Haitian culture,
Mm-hmm,
the way I view it is I'm an independent contractor. I'm not part of
mm,
any society, society, or religious community, period.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know what else just came to me as you were talking about that? It came to my spirit. Are there some really serendipitous places in particular? Like, I believe in ley lines, after living in New York City. I used to stay in Queens, right? And there was some spaces that felt extraordinary, like almost interdimensional, just very strange. Are there some places like that in New York for you that are like, ooh, this is
New
like some
York,
powerful shit?
I don't really venture out and look for, those places
Mm,
because I feel like when you've been doing this long enough, it's like I'm not looking for that.
mm,
For me, I rather go to a nice environment and listen to some jazz music because
mm,
I've been through the adventures. I've been to very mystical places on the island of Hispaniola, Haiti, Dominican Republic. So it's
mhm,
like I don't really need to look for that because it's pretty much part of my culture.
mm.
I've seen that.
So, just to go a little further, what I mean is like for me, when I look at all the places that I've lived, there's this auspicious thing with the addresses. I actually just put this together like a few days ago. I'm like, holy shit. I've lived at the same numbers in different cities and states over and over again and just realized it, right? So
Hmm.
like for you, I don't know like what type of area you live in right now, but a home or like an apartment, I guess for the people that are listening, do you think that we should pay closer attention to those kind of things when we choose to live somewhere or where
Again,
we
it goes back to what I was saying.
Mhm,
See, I think you looked at it in a separate light, where
mhm,
you looked at it from the numbers, numerology, these
mhm.
series of events where they're interconnected. This house was the same number as that house, whatsoever. It's still connected to energy spots.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
now, yes, of course, you want to be conscientious of where you lay your head, or where you go to stay,
Mm-hmm.
because energy is very important and real. Because the thing is, why would you want to move next to a cemetery when
Mm.
you can move somewhere that's by a nice clean lake, where people are peaceful? Well, it's like different environments. If you can avoid living in this messed up neighborhood, you know do so. If you can move to an area where it's peaceful, because look at it like this: when you have all that negative energy compacted in that environment, it's going to begin to affect you in some type of metaphysical way.
It's gonna begin to affect you in a metaphysical way. I like that. I like that. So, as a Bakur, what would you tell people to look for when they're moving to a new place? Is there like a few different things you would give them
The
recommendation
obvious,
on?
look at the obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Is the area clean?
Mm-hmm.
How is the what is crime like in the area? Is crime low? When you see people, are they clean? Are they cleanly? Excuse me. But yeah, you want
What
to make
about
sure
like
the
the
environment.
history of a location? Like, what if an
History
apartment
history can
complex?
be fine. That's what
Uh-huh.
I'm saying. It's part of exactly what I'm saying. You want
Okay.
to do your research into the environment.
Okay.
Okay, before you move in this house, was there anybody killed, murdered?
Right.
You say,
Right.
is there people buried? Whatever. You want to know all these things, because being in these environments leaves you with a very terrible vibe.
You want to know something? I'll never forget. I lived in DC for a very short period of time in 2019. I was subletting a room in a condo. And right when I was about to move out, I was speaking to actually this Dominican neighbor, right? And she was like, well, did you know that in the back room of the condo that you live in, the guy that used to stay there by himself, that owned the property, killed himself in that bedroom? And
Mm,
I could not figure out why I was always on edge. I had a very hard
mm,
time sleeping at night. I was always walking, walking, walking. I could never just like sit still in that particular room, you know. It
mm,
always felt strange. And if she wouldn't have told me that, I would have never known.
mm-hmm. She's made you obvious. She's made you conscientious, excuse me. She's made you conscientious or conscious or aware of that environment. And now it clicked to you like, oh my God, yeah, that's what the situation was.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. So do you see yourself like building a legacy? Like, would you like to pass this on to, for example, younger people in your family or maybe children at some point?
I put like this: I think I've given people enough. My thing is, if it happens that we connect, we connect. But I feel like I've given people a lot of work, saying bodies of work. You know what? I think on YouTube they got like, I got almost 6,000 videos on YouTube spread on 3 different channels. You know,
Mm,
um, Facebook, same thing, Instagram. So I'm spread everywhere,
mm-hmm,
and I've given lesson to hundreds of people throughout the years.
mm-hmm,
So even without books, I feel like I did what I need to do. So far,
mm.
I mean, I'm helping people. I'm still here, but I just look at it like I did so much in such a short amount of time period.
Yeah, yeah. I would love if you were to come out with a book about your stories. That would be a
Mm.
great book, or like an audio book where people can listen to it. That would be really cool.
That definitely is something that I have had in mind. People have asked me throughout the years to do.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So let's see. What are we at right now? How long have we been on here? I feel like we've been talking now for a while.
I think probably an hour or so.
About an hour. Do you want to wrap this up or how
I
do
mean,
you
that's
feel?
up to you.
Okay, let's see. I do have a few more questions. Let's see. Uh, oh, do you have like different cultures come to you? Like,
Of course,
okay.
everything under the sun,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Have you,
international, national, everywhere.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
Have
have
you
people
ever,
all the way from India,
Oh,
everywhere.
wow. Wow, from India. That's really cool.
Australia, Europe, Africa, everywhere.
Mm-hmm. What does the meaning immortality, what does that mean to you?
Immortality. I've had a glimpse of immortality. That is a timeless reality because we think of mortality. Immortality is something transcendental,
Mm-hmm.
where when you think of immortality, you have to think back to the past, and
Mm-hmm.
that will let you know how deep that word is. Imagine the past and the present and the future just being one.
Mm-hmm.
That is the way to comprehend immortality, because we can think of the past. Now imagine the past being right here in the present, and imagine the future being right here in the present. Only thing that truly exists is now.
Mm-hmm.
So
Whatever
this
now
is
is, right? Whatever now is.
whatever now is. Again, that's something we can talk in theory about it, but this is something that you can only truly understand through experience. And some people call it that meditation, that
Mm-hmm.
oneness in your meditation.
Mm. So, like, when you go to sleep at night, do you dream? Do you have out of body experiences? Do you go to other parallels?
I mean, who does it? I mean,
No,
I mean,
listen, I've talked to some people and they're like, I don't dream at all.
of course, I've met those type of people as well. But I would say for myself speaking,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've had a fair share of my experiences, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm,
But it's
mm-hmm.
a normal occurrence to me today. It's not really a big deal.
Right, right. I would say the same thing. Mm-hmm. Let's see here. What else do we have? Mm. Do you think that spiritual responsibility is heavier than political power?
I would say it's two sides of the same coin.
Mm,
Two sides of the same coin, because you're making decisions that can have detrimental or positive effects on the surroundings.
mm-hmm,
So
mm,
for me, I'm gonna say earthly matters manifest quickly versus spirit. This is something that takes time to hit the physical realm.
mm-hmm,
But I would definitely say they're both important. But I'd say if you're talking about speed, the physical will have more, that will be quicker than the spiritual.
mm-hmm,
To make a decision, let me say this: to make a decision forcefully in the world of matter, political decision.
mm-hmm,
The person can make a political decision and it goes through, where they can do something and it just happens just like that. Where say spirit takes time. It takes time to manifest into the real world.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm. As you were talking about that, it's kind of different, but my mind was brought to, I used to work in Flushing, right, in Queens, and as you know, that particular area is a lot of like Mandarin speaking people, people from different parts of Asia, but it almost feels like you go into a different world in that part of Queens. Have you ever like been to that particular part of Flushing where it's all Asian stores and restaurants and it feels like you're in like a different realm?
I mean, I've been into environments like that in New York. I mean, yeah, it's cultural. And these
I
people with the culture, they
yeah.
bring their own energy.
They bring their own energy. And you want to know something? Like in all the cities I've lived in, there really is no place like New York where you can go into these different inner dimensions and worlds within one city. Like now that I'm here in Atlanta, I don't feel that at all. And I've been down here for years. It feels very flat to me. And I haven't been able to figure out what exactly that phenomenon is spiritually. There is no specific place that gives an extra sense of um, power in particular. I just don't feel that.
Mhm.
And I'm trying to understand what that means, you know, especially in the work that I do, because I really look at ley lines and location as something that can shift your entire world. Like you said, your even your metaphysical reality, the
And
things
I
you can't
think
see.
that's what I believe y'all call it medicine. In your medicine, a
Hmm.
lot of
Hmm.
what I've seen is that the natives of America today, North America, they were very heavy on location, where
Mm.
things is
Hmm.
done, and I can see that in your conversation that you talk about spaces, locations. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's interesting you bring that up. Yeah, like shamanism. And I've been feeling very called to do some work in Canada lately, just to kind
Mm-hmm.
of like touch back on the roots and speak
Mm-hmm.
to the elders.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that everybody should try to reach into that space and figure out who those people are for them.
And
Um,
let me just, I'll say this to you.
mhm.
Wherever you're cut off sometimes it's in your DNA to know what to do. Sometimes it just comes to you.
Mm,
Like, I found myself a long time ago being cut off from family, right?
mhm, mhm,
And I would do things
mhm,
that my grandfather was doing. And I had
mm,
no knowledge of that he used to do things this way. And they would
mhm.
tell me when I got to Haiti, you out. That's the way your grandfather used to do it without even having information
Wow.
of how he used to do it. And
Mm.
that was just through intuition. Mm-hmm.
I love stuff like that. Wow. So, what else have you noticed that you picked up on from your elders? Like, not to be too specific, but are there any other things? And you're like, oh wow, that's interesting that I
Again,
do that.
rituals,
Hmm.
there's many rituals. And you know, as time pretty much it just boils mainly down to ritual. Because there's
Hmm.
certain things that are you'll do subconsciously
Mm.
that you'll eventually find that these people are doing, and that is that little voice that's directing your mind, and that's just from the other side. They're telling you what to do. You know, it may come as an opinion, it may come as a thought, it may come as an idea.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
them communicating with you.
I love that. You know what else came to my mind as you were saying that, family? I was thinking about the vampiric energy, which maybe could be similar to somebody without a soul, quote unquote. I don't know how the average person would think of it, but how do you look at the vampiric energy? Do you think there are actual vampires out here? Like the movie Sinners came to my mind, right?
See, we have something similar to that in Haitian culture, right?
Mm.
And this could be considered what they call a lugawu. Lugawu
Mm.
is a very tricky term because
Mhm.
it's French, which comes from the French word loup-garou. But of course,
Mm.
with the tongue and people being over in Haiti, it kind of got twisted a little bit to loup-garou, one word. But in French, it's loup-garou, right? This
Mm.
stands for werewolf in French culture. Now, in
Mm.
Haiti, it took on a different connotation. It
Mhm.
was synonymous with a vampire, because we usually say luga wak suseo taku kenep, right? It's gonna suck you. It's gonna suck your energy out of you like a fruit, right? A specific fruit. I don't know what they call it in English, but
Mhm.
basically, it's synonymous with how a vampire would drain the person or suck their life force. We say in Haitian Creole, boisson, which means to drink your blood, right? So
Mm.
this supernatural being, they say, that flies at night, it has wings. They say it has fangs at times. When you see a depiction of Lugao, it usually has wings, it usually has fangs like a vampire, because they say that it usually drinks the person's blood. Now, this is figurative and this is imaginary, right? This is the way
Mm.
people colorfully put this together.
Mhm.
Now, the reality is When it comes to certain spirits in Haitian culture,
Mm.
they may refer to them as Jab or Lugawu. You know what I'm saying? Jab comes from the word diabolique or diabolos, diablos whatsoever. But basically, this vampiric energy, it can take a person who's about 270 pounds and break him down till he looks like he's about 120 whatsoever in weight. See, it's all about how a person utilizes this energy, because a lot of spirits can become vampiric in nature if you don't know what you're doing. It's like a pack. When you make a pack with an energy, if you're not giving, eventually they're going to take from you. So therefore, it's one of those, you got to keep feeding the spirits, keeping them fed. Because if you don't feed them, they're going to begin to feed off of you.
Mm. You know, I feel like I've met some people, and like you said, it's very subliminal. If you don't pay attention, it's not gonna come flying. It's not gonna be like a fucking bat. You know, it's not like the movies. What are some things that you would say would be symptoms or side effects of, you say it beautifully, so I don't even want to try to mutilate the word. What would that look like in an ordinary circumstance that people should look out for?
Well, the most common is waking up and feeling pain in your body, right? You
Mm-hmm.
wake up, oh my God. I know some people has probably been through the situation where you say, oh man, I slept incorrectly. I slept the wrong way. Yeah. Usually this follows people who have this type of spirit on them. Not to say that this is not a situation where they sleep the wrong way, but a lot of times there are spirits that can leave the same effect on people, where they wake up like, oh my God, I can't move my neck, all painful. Some would say the spirit drank your blood or drank your energy from that location.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh man, when you turn your shoulder, oh my God, it hurts. Yeah. You say, my neck hurts when I turn. Yeah, exactly. Mm? That's one of the most common symptoms. You know, another one could be
Before we move on to the next one, can I just say, so in order for them to be able to identify neck pain and sleeping funny versus this other thing, is it like you can't move your neck at all, or how would you
I
say?
mean, you ever slept incorrectly where you woke up and you feel like pain? That area in your body is like, oh my God. Like you just,
Absolutely.
the slightest turn, like, oh my God, that hurts. Yeah,
And you can't even turn your head, yeah.
exactly. So it could be that, it could be other places on your body. It could be a shoulder. It could be it don't, it varies. But again, that can be natural, but it can also be unnatural. If you're
Okay.
serving a spirit, usually, mm, if you're serving a spirit that does what that functions at nighttime,
Mm-hmm.
that I would say, I'm gonna be honest with you. In Haitian culture, we have a spirit called Marinette Piesèche, right? And some would attribute her to being the mother of these creatures called Lugawu, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you deal with her and you don't keep your side of the bargain, or let's just say you do certain things that she don't like,
Mm-hmm.
or you just get a little slack on your payments to her, you may wake up one day like, oh my God, oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, say you feel that pain, and
Mm-hmm.
as soon as you make it up, now you see the pain starts to go away.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Okay. What would another symptom be before I interrupted you?
Another symptom, I mean, the common one is a person getting sick, sickness, losing weight. But I'm gonna say this. This may be a little graphic. Bleeding, bleeding. It can be shitting blood, pissing
Mm-hmm.
blood,
Mm-hmm.
vomiting blood.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be any one of those things. But
Mm-hmm.
that's when you're dealing with those type of spirits. Mm? Spirits
Mm-hmm.
that would fall into that vampire family.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They like a lot of blood. They cause a lot of bloodshed too.
Okay. So that could be like a lot of
I would say
bloodshed. Mm-hmm.
a lot. I would say yes, a lot of bloodshed, but mainly, most important, I would say urinating blood, shitting blood, or vomiting blood,
Okay. Okay.
or
Mm.
bloody noses at times.
Okay. Mm. Very interesting. Yeah, that had just came to me because I saw the movie Sinners, right? Clairvoyantly. And do you remember the part where the Native Americans were warning? Have you seen the movie?
Yes, I have.
Where the Native Americans were warning, of these vampires, but
Mhm.
nobody was really paying attention. So I would like for people to really take themselves out of like the standard symbology of the movie and start to think about, are these things among us? And the ordinary person might not realize it. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, a lot of these things exist, but I'd say it's kind of crazy because I feel like in America, I'd say mainly the Caribbean
Mm,
is very. This stuff is very big in the Caribbean. It goes back to what you
yes.
said, locations, right?
Yep.
The Caribbean, this stuff is very big. You hear about so many creatures in the Caribbean, from chupacabra. You hear lugawu. You hear of there's so what do they call it? What do they call it? What do they call it again? I'm trying to think. Um, mm, excuse me. It just I had this train of thought and I lost it. But it was a particular type of spirit. Siguapa.
Mm,
That's on the east side of the island. There's so much so-called mythological beings, or throughout the Caribbean. It's so much, but in America they don't really talk too much about that. But I mean, again, it really is a culture thing. Also, well, I'd say it's a cultural thing as well, because
mm,
what one culture calls this, another culture may call it something else. So
mhm,
what we may call a lugau in Romania may be an ufir, or what they call a vampire, right? Or
mhm.
what some may call a zombie in different cultures. Like what in Haitian culture we have a thing called zombie. This is the spirit of the dead. Now per se, some other places it may mean something totally different.
That's why
Like
it's
in,
so interesting when you told me about what you do bakor. Like in Middle Eastern culture, that's considered incense, right?
mm,
And so that's just interesting to hear these different meanings and variants of
mm,
words, right? So
mm,
how often do you go back to Haiti? Like, do you feel that you get, I know you love New York, of course, who doesn't, right? But
mm.
how often do you go to get replenished, and
I'm
just
gonna tell you this.
Mhm.
It's you. I would say this. Right now, Haiti is closed off, especially with the insecurity that's happening right now.
Okay.
Gangs have taken over, what do you say, close to 85% of the capital. So it's almost like a lot of flights to Haiti has been completely shut off. There's travel advisories right now for Haiti. It's not safe. So for me, I haven't been to Haiti. I'm thinking possibly it's been like 5 years now, 4 or 5 years now, since I've been to
Mm,
Haiti. It's not
mm.
by choice. It's basically the situation that exists right now.
Do you think it's the time that we're in? Is it a spiritual thing? Like, what do
I
you?
mean, there's definitely, I would say this. There's a lot of things going on right now, from wars in Ukraine to issues in America.
Right.
And I mean, right now you have this whole Venezuela thing between the United States and Venezuela. Haiti. You have Haiti, an internal war between gangs in Haiti, as well as with gangs in Haiti with the law enforcement whatsoever, as well as international assistance that has come there. So it's a lot of things going on in the planet. I mean, we just recently had the situation with Trump, him going through what he went through, and then this guy named Charlie Kirk. So
Just
we're in
comments.
this,
Somebody was just in the comments asking you what you thought of that.
right. So
Hmm.
for me, I would say on a spiritual level, the
Mm-hmm.
Charlie Kirk situation, the
Mm,
Trump thing, Ukraine. I would say from a spiritual perspective,
mm,
we're in a time frame where things are this hectic. Think about it. If we look at rap music, when did we ever have rappers dying on this type of level? Look how violence is today.
mm.
Violence is like it's happening like it's nothing. It's like we've
Right,
become desensitized to the madness. So for me,
right.
I look at all this stuff as basically the signs of the time that we're living in.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm just saying, being honest with you, you got kids with switch Glocks and switches. Nobody
Right,
knew about that stuff back in the day. I mean, it's like, especially think about Chicago. You got kids
right,
10 years old, 12 years old, and they're into full blown third world gang shit,
right,
warlord shit.
right,
So it's like this is the time we're living in.
right,
You got somebody who was assassinated for his ideas, for the things that he's said. So it's like this is the world we live in. Haiti right now is going through what it's going through. So I look at it like this. That's what it is, but it's not going to stop me from doing what I have to do.
right. And I think that people like yourself who, it doesn't matter what type of economy we're in, your gifts transcend all of the times. It doesn't matter. It will always be work,
Hmm. Hmm.
you know?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I look at it the same way for myself when I give people readings or when I had this just feeling deep in my soul. It's like, okay, it's time to move forward and to start interviewing people. This is the time. I must do it. It's like it's a feeling of um frustration if you don't get it out, if that makes sense. Like it has to happen. You understand?
Document is documentation of what we're doing. It's like Plato's was his demiurge or so.
The demiurge,
The
yeah.
demiurge. Yeah, it's like the Plato that book of that work of Plato. At the time, you seen he was documenting those is the experiences, the things that they were going through. So all these things here, who knows? Maybe thousands of years later, somebody may upload this or basically use this information for something. It's like documenting the what we're seeing in the times that we're in.
Right, right. Even like when you think about like the example you gave about Plato, but Nostradamus, when people thought he
Mm-hmm.
was crazy, or when people thought that Sylvia Brown was crazy,
Mm-hmm.
some people like her, some people don't. And I
Mm-hmm.
want people to know too that in these spaces, and you'll probably have an even more refined way to put it, the energy, it never dies. It's the
Mm-hmm.
alpha and the omega.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There's no beginning and there's no end. So, with that being said, can you explain to people how the cream always rises to the top? What does that mean?
The cream always rises to the top, right? The cream always rises to the top. No matter how people try to fight you down or put you down, when it doesn't matter what they do, you're going to be on top. It's destined to be.
Hmm.
That's what I mean
Mm.
by that.
Mm. Well, this has been such a beautiful exchange, and I just want to thank you again for being so refined in what you do and paving a way that's so unique and special to the collective. I want them to know, I want everybody to know that your services are very important and they should just be revered and understood that this is not something that you just walk up to without showing your respect first.
Hmm.
So, um, should we take questions, I guess? There's only 10 people in the room
I
right now.
mean, questions.
No?
I don't think so. Not for tonight. Yeah, not
Okay.
for tonight. This should have been on a bigger platform. I mean, should I answer questions? What do you think about? I answered that. Let me see this. There are some spirits who make opposite. I think I spent a lot of time, and besides, I need to let this thing upload so I can download it later on.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess maybe on the next one we could do that.
Yeah, how do you feel about this?
I'm down for it. I'm okay with it. Yeah, because
Yeah,
this is
I had
definitely a
fun.
good. Yeah, tonight was definitely a good night.
Yeah, it was solid. So, well, thank you for everybody that showed up, and I guess we will be doing this again soon, right?
Of course. Thank you.
Okay. All
Have a
right.
good one.
Take care.
All right.